Hello. Um, let's get started. My bad. Today I was thinking I would just like go over a bunch of stuff and teach you miscellaneous things. Like do some random cool things about Python that aren't exactly like in the lessons, but it might help you. Yeah, okay, let's get started. Um, First of all, let's learn this. So we've learned print, right? Print, hello, world. So that prints hello world, amazing. But say you wanted to print something under that, like hello there. I don't know. But yeah, the second one prints under the first one. It prints under the hello world, right? But what if you don't want that? What if you just wanted to print in one line, but maybe with a space instead of like a new line? So what you could do is over here in the print, you enter another argument or another parameter and say this end is equal to space. And now it's going to do hello world space, hello there. If this was not a space, then it would just be hello world, hello there, comma, space. And yeah, so you don't need a new line. Hmm. This is especially convenient if you have, say, a list, LST. Uh, List has one, two, three, four, whatever, eight. And say you want to print all the values in the list. So you would do for I in LST, print I end is equal to comma that, and boom. If you don't want the last one, then that'd be a bit more complicated. Not too much. It's just you can use this loop, like for I in range length of list print length of list minus one. Print LST I and is equal to commas, and then you just print LST length of the list. Yeah, minus one. And I can remove the ending comma and space. It's easier to just like do this, like have this end thing. If you didn't have that end thing, well, it would look weird. It wouldn't look as good. It would look like this. You know, just a formatting thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can make it look like a list, like that, and then you can like add it on. Oh, wait, that doesn't look right. Oh, this end is equal to um, string. I like that. Well, or you could just print the list, but you get the point. It's for like formatting. You format it, and I think that's cool. No, that's something new. What else? Let's see. We can also do something like print five in list. It basically just checks if it's like in the list. 5 is in the list, so it prints true. If it's not in the list, it's going to print false. 13 is not in the list, so it prints false. Um, you can multiply strings. So let's do something. Say number is equal to input int input enter our number for I in range number int the star times I. And now I send a number, say 5. Well, look at that. It creates like a half pyramid, kind of. Yeah, a half pyramid. Or staircase, I guess. Yeah, if you do something like this times I minus 1 plus that, then I guess it looks more like a staircase. Just use like parentheses for that. And now it looks kind of more like a staircase. I don't know why it has that extra thing over here, but yeah, so cool. Whoa. So yeah, you can multiply strings. Uh, if you are in a loop, like 10 times, if I is equal to 5, break, print. So what will this do? It is going to print all the values from 1 to 4, or 0 to 4, my bad. Because when I is equal to 5, I do break, which means it's going to break out of the loop. There's another thing called continue. That means that it will skip everything after, like below that. So it just won't print 5. It'll print all values except for 5. Yeah, you don't see the 5. Basically, it just like skips that iteration of the loop. So yeah, pretty interesting. Continue break. This is especially useful like the break when you do something like this while true. Um, you can say let's see. Let's guess what number I'm thinking of. Let's say the number is 7. Guess what number I'm thinking of. The user guesses. Um, you guessed too small. Aleph x is greater than 7. Or let's make that num. Greater than num. Print. You guessed too big. Else break. And actually, before the break, we'll say, think you guess it. You guessed it. Okay. So it's going to, oh wait, and let's actually write, again. Okay. So guess what number I'm thinking of? Okay, let's say it's 5. You guess too small, try again. 4. You guess too small. Okay, so if it's greater than 4, so let's say 8. You guess too big. 7? Hey, I guess it. So yeah, it's like useful if you're doing something like this, the break. If you're using a wild shoe loop, you want to break. Or if you're like getting user input. So that's why wild shoe is useful. Okay. There's another thing. A list can be made of multiple lists. So what we learned was that a list has a primitive data type. A primitive data type is like ints, doubles, floats, um, Boolean. Yeah, those are primitive data types. I think strings might be a primitive data type. I think they're special because technically a string is a object, but char, if you know char, it's like one letter, a character. A char is a primitive. So far, we've only learned that, but a list can have another list inside of it. So we call that a 2D list. It's like 2D. Um, so say you want to put coordinate points in this list. You don't have to initialize it like that. You can just do this. Say you want to put in coordinate points. You can say for I in range 10, or actually, let me rename that to X. For Y in range 10, else T dot append. Remember, we learned append a new list that has X and Y. And um, what T? Let's see what this does. Whoa. So it has all these coordinate points that are, well, within the range of like 0 to 10. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, all the way up to 0, 10. And then it goes 1, 0 or 1, 1. Yeah, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, all the way up to 9, 9. Oh, yeah, it doesn't go to 10 because it only goes up to this value. If this was 11, then it would go up to 10. So yeah, you can have a list inside of another list. Yeah, you can have a list inside of another list inside of another list inside of another list. I mean, if you really want to do that, you could do that. The best thing about coding is that you can like try things out. Just try it out. If it throws an error, then it doesn't work. If it doesn't, it works. Um, yeah. If zero prints high, what do you think that would do? It's not going to print high. It's very interesting, right? So there's this thing called um falsy values. Um, this is things like zero, null, or none in Python. I don't know if Python has null. Wait, let me check. Yeah, it doesn't have null. But none basically means nothing. Um, zero, none. I think that might be it. But these are falsy values. That means if you try to do if and that value, it's going to result in false. So we could do a test like this. If it's equal to false, and you say, here, let's just say this. X is zero. Then you say X is a false value. Something like that. Maybe concatenate it into a string. Else print X is not a false. So in this case, zero is a falsy value, so it's going to say it's a false value. Same with none, which means nothing. Nothing is like false, pretty much. If this was one, that's not a false value, it's a true value. Yeah, let me say it's true. It's a true. So one is a true value. Think of binary. Binary, you have zeros and ones. Zero is off, one is on, something like that. Two is also true. It's basically all numbers other than zero. Because if you're initializing something, it is usually initialized to zero. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. And last thing I'll teach you real quick is F strings. I think they're pretty useful. Basically, an F string is you have an F in front of the two quotation marks, and say you had a variable like x is equal to 5. Instead of using the addition sign and doing concatenation, we can say x is equal to curly braces x, like that, and it will automatically concatenate it. See, it works. You don't have to do print x is equal to plus x. They both do the same thing. They both do the same thing, but I think this is easier to write. Personal preference. Especially if you have like multiple variables, it's way easier. Um, like this. Let's do hello. What's your name? You do Sarvesh. And they both do the same thing again, but I think this one's easier. Plus, an advantage with this one is you have more options for formatting, which I'll cover later. But just to show you right now, let's say X was 5 point this big decimal. We could format it to only say the first two decimals. So 5.32. If you do three, I'm going to say the first three. It's basically going to round it, by the way. 324 over here. I rounded it to the nearest 10,000th place. If you try to do that over here, it's not gonna work. Yeah, it's going to print out all the values. Here, I'm not here. Going to print out all the values. I guess you could do math if you have the math module or math math dot round, I think. If you do that, it might round it. Okay, no, never mind. It's not round. Maybe like floor. This should truncate, I'm pretty sure. And make sure this is not a string. Yeah, it's going to round to the nearest whole number. Actually, it's going to truncate to the nearest whole number, so it just like gets rid of all the decimal points. But yeah, F string, it's really useful. This is only if you want to like round it. There's other uses. There are other uses. Um, I'm pretty sure this does something. I forgot what it does, but yeah, we'll cover all that later. Soon. We'll cover that all soon. But yeah, that was today. Um, the GimKit practice is in Sistine. Also, if you have any questions, ask me on Discord. Oh yeah, homework. So yesterday I assigned you guys a project. I don't expect you guys to finish it already, but if you have, then that's amazing. So over the week, I want, well, until our next class period, I want you guys to do these two projects. The first one, quiz game, which I explained yesterday. The second project is password authentication. Let me open it real quick. Password authentication. Here are the directions. Create a password authentication program that prompts the user to enter a password. The program should compare the entered password with a predefined correct password and provide feedback on whether the entered password is correct or incorrect. The program should allow the user to try again a limited number of times before locking them out. Okay, so yeah, it's like this. So enter password, incorrect password. You have two more attempts. Enter password, incorrect password, two more attempts. And if they get the password, then you say access granted. If they don't, maximum number of attempts reached. Oh no, access denied, and close the program. So yeah, simple projects. That's those two projects, homework for next week. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions later on, just ask me on Discord. And yeah, thanks for joining.